Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC 254, Khabib versus Justin Gaethje, and Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, Fight Island. You got the 28-0 Khabib Nurmagomedov putting his undisputed lightweight title on the line versus the 22-2 Justin the Highlight Gaethje, and a lot of people think that Justin Gaethje might have the style to not only dethrone the great Khabib Nurmagomedov, but to hand him his first ever loss in his MMA career.
Yeah, I mean, Khabib, he's in that race for the pound-for-pound GOAT right now. You know, a lot of people are saying if he gets this win, he will take over that spot. So this is a big fight. We know that, rest in peace to Abdulmanap. This is the first fight, since his dad passed away. And it's a big fight. And, man, Justin Gaethje, I mean, this guy, we already know what the deal is with him. I mean, we know it's going to be fight of the night. We know it's going to be a war. We know that we know about the leg kicks. We know about the left hook. I mean, he's coming off that, putting an end to Tony Ferguson's 12-fight unbeaten streak, man. So this is a great matchup. I got a lot of respect for Gaethje and Trevor Whitman, man. This is like one of those all-time matchups, man. I'm excited.
It really is, man. I mean, this could be the fight of the year that we've been waiting for this whole time, man. Justin Gaethje has had 7 UFC fights, and he's got 9 bonuses in those 7 UFC fights. So that speaks volumes to the kind of competitor he is. And, I love guys like Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor and Rafael Dos Anjos, but this is actually the first guy that Khabib fights who's not only got a wrestling background, Shaq, but he's a D1 All-American from Northern Colorado. So, you can't sleep on those wrestling credentials, Shaq.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like the guys you just mentioned, they're all great fighters, but, they're not college wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? They never had to stand in the middle of that mat and stuff takedowns like that. So, Gaethje has. We'll see what actually happens. I saw a lot of people posting some clips of a fight that he had in World Series of Fighting. You remember when my boy Patton Shock fully mounted him, and then there was another fight. I think it was against Buscapé where he was taking his back and stuff like that. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. So, just gotta make a quick announcement. So support for Half the Battle is brought to you by Manscaped, who offer the best men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And Shaq, I know firsthand that, when you're using these, random ass blades and this and that, I mean, you can cut your sub, you can see some blood on the floor, all this kind of bullshit you don't even want to deal with. But with Manscaped, it completely changes the game and takes all that bullshit away, because that's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineer team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. And their 3rd generation trimmer, Shaq, it features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. And when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last you up to 90 minutes so you can take a longer shave, and the waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower. And one of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. So check this shit out. You see that fucking light? So now you don't got to do any guessing work. I mean, if your lighting is shitty in your bathroom or whatever the case may be, this LED light completely fixes that problem. And they've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Look at this charging stand. Pretty fucking slick. Show your mower off loud and proud, because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. And if you're listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. So let's get that bush to tush clean. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. That's BATTLE20, all caps, BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. One more time, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use code BATTLE20. Your balls will thank you, and she'll thank you too.
Real quick, man. Speaking of Manscaped, I mean, anyone thinking that Manscaped's, on some bullshit, man, just my experience in the short time, I mean, this shit's legit, man. The crop preserver and the crop reviver. I mean, that stuff, man, you can definitely tell the difference. So, it's definitely legit.
Dude, like, look at the kind of presentation these guys have when they send you. It says, you know, your balls will
it's
thank
official.
you.
It's
And look
official,
what it
like
comes with. Dude, like, look at the shit it comes with. You got the ball deodorant to make sure your balls smell on point. You got the ball toner to make sure your skin's on point. Obviously, the Lawnmower 3.0. They even hooked you up with some Manscaped boxer briefs. I mean, they take care of you, so make sure y'all go to manscaped.com. Use that code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's BATTLE20, all caps. Now, Shaq, let's get right down to business because first up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Joel Alvarez, he's 17-2, and Alexander Yakovlev is 25-10. Currently, they got Joel Alvarez minus 160. The comeback on Alexander Yakovlev is plus 140. So, Shaq, interestingly enough, Joel Alvarez has had 19 pro fights, and he's only been the distance one time. That means that this man is a finisher, and the only time he's been the distance is with Damir Ismagulov. So if people want to hold it against him that he doesn't go to decision a lot, I mean, I don't care if this guy's won 10 decisions. You're probably not winning a decision against Damir Ismagulov. But honestly, Joel kind of reminds me of like a young Chito Vera. Back when Chito Vera was training in Latin America before he moved to the States, and you could just see the work ethic. You could just see the finishing ability, but he wasn't quite developed yet. And that's what I see with Joel Alvarez, except it's in the lightweight division, Shaq. And with Joel Alvarez, he's 6'3". He's a full 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. I know it says that both of them are 6'3", but between you and me, Joel Alvarez is actually 6'3". I think Yakovlev is more like 6'1". But anyways, man, I like what Joel Alvarez brings to the table. I feel like he's the kind of guy that's going to be making big improvements every single time we see him fight. He's an opportunistic finisher. If you leave your head on the outside, he will catch you with a choke. His stand-up is improving. Yakovlev definitely has an edge when it comes to the wrestling. I mean, look, this guy is Russian. He beat Paul Daly back in the day. He's been in there with the champ Usman. He survived Damian Maia for 3 straight rounds. So he's a very tough and experienced guy, but he's getting up there in age. Alexander Yakovlev has a 10-year age advantage in the spot. He's got a big reach advantage, and I just think that he's the guy that's trending upwards. So, Shaq, I'm going to go with Joel Alvarez to opportunistically finish Alexander Yakovlev somewhere along the way.
Yeah, man. Joel, I'm very high on this guy, man. You know, he's from Spain. That, you know, their MMA scene isn't the best, but, man, he's been improving ever since he took that L to Damir. And then you got Alexander Yakovlev on the other side, who, in my opinion, hasn't really shown anything positive, you know, in a while. I mean, the last time Alexander Yakovlev looked good in a fight was against George Sullivan. And, you know, my boy George Sullivan was on those fertility drugs. So, you know, look, Alexander Yakovlev, the only thing he's got going for him in this matchup is the takedowns. Yeah, Joel gives up the takedowns, but I mean, when you look at that fight against Roosevelt Roberts, anytime Roosevelt attacked his neck, I mean, you know, he went to his back and he'd lose the round. So I feel like as long as Joel Alvarez just, you know, attacks him with the armbar, the triangle, you know, a guillotine, anything of that nature, that'll make Alexander Yakovlev panic. And on the feet, man, I see Joel absolutely breaking him. I mean, against Joe Duffy, a lot of people were saying Joe Duffy was going to come out here and touch Joel up. And, I mean, Joel was out here hitting him with front kicks, and Joseph Duffy didn't like the stand-up, man. He had to shoot that takedown, and then it was game over. So I see at some point Joel Alvarez breaking Alexander Yakovlev somewhere in that second and third round, man. I really feel like I mean, I know Yakovlev's a popular underdog pick this week because, you know, obviously the takedowns. But, I mean, if he couldn't, I mean, Roosevelt Roberts is a young green kid, and I mean, he was panicking against Roosevelt, man. And so I feel like Joel Alvarez is a lot tougher, a lot more opportunistic, like you said, and I think he'll get the win.
I mean, I feel for some reason people don't respect fighters like Joel Alvarez or guys like Chito Vera. It takes a while for them to gain the respect of the fans or the betting public for whatever reason, because they like guys that are guaranteed to win decisions. But I mean, you got to show respect for finishers too, especially with the kind of finish rates that a guy like Joel Alvarez has, Shaq.
You're 100% right, man, and I get it. The guy's Russian, but I mean, he's been submitted, you know, and dominated on the mat several times before, man. I mean, even when he's been on top. So it's like, you know, we'll see what happens though. Can he maintain this top control for 2 rounds?
That's the big question. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Miranda Maverick, she's 7-2, and Liana Jojua is 8-3. Currently, they got Miranda Maverick minus 380. The comeback on Liana Jojua is plus 315. Well, Shaq, these fighters from Georgia have been doing their thing in 2020. You know what I mean? They've been going out there and winning fights. Even last week, Guram Kutateladze beat Mateus Gamrot. The week before, you had Taporia beating Yusuf Zalal. Now you got Liana Jojua, and I mean, look, she's an armbar specialist. I would say Miranda Maverick is the more well-rounded fighter here, but I guess my question for you is, do you think Liana Jojua finds that armbar somewhere along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the way I feel about this fight is like you said, I mean, yeah, Jojua has a chance. I mean, she gets that armbar, that's her thing, and Miranda Maverick likes to shoot a lot of takedowns. So, I mean, but it does seem like Miranda Maverick has some good jiu-jitsu herself. I mean, I saw her dominate Pro Gonzalez out there on the local scene, and but at the same time, it's like, this line is wide. Jojua, she might be trending upward. I mean, that first fight was up a weight class. I mean, this next fight, her last fight, she looked really good. But, I definitely lean Maverick, like you said, better overall fighter. But betting-wise, it's one where it's like Jojua or pass,
Well, I will say this, man. Interestingly enough, Miranda Maverick actually opened minus 140. So either Vegas is onto something or they opened the line way too low. But bottom line, I mean, look, I agree with you. I think Miranda Maverick is better across the board. She's been a really hype prospect. It seems like the UFC was trying to hook her up with a win initially because they matched her up with Mara Romero Barella. And, that's a guaranteed dub, my man, 9 times out of 10. But now she's fighting Liana Jojua. As long as she avoids this armbar, she will win this fight. Now, Shaq, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got Un Jung. He's 13-2, and Smiling Sam Alvey is 33-14. Currently, they got Un Jung minus 330. The comeback on Sam Alvey is plus 270. So, interestingly enough, I want to tell you something, Shaq. So Un Jung opened minus 400 against Mike Rodriguez, and everyone acted like it was this big joke. And he went out there, looked minus 400 to me, Shaq. I mean, he got bet down to minus 125 against Rodriguez, but he performed like a minus 400 like the opening line indicated. Here he opened minus 600, and now it's down to minus 330. So the action's been coming in on Smiling Sam Alvey. And I got to tell you what, in Alvey's last fight against Ryan Spann, I believe he might have been the biggest underdog on the card, and I know he made Spann better sweat in that spot, but I will also say that Un Jung is a lot more durable than Spann, and he doesn't take as many unnecessary risks. So do you think the Korean prospect is going to get the biggest win of his career here?
Yeah, man, it's a good. You made some good points about that Spann fight because I wanted to make some points about that fight too. A lot of saying Alvey looked good that fight. I honestly think Ryan Spann. I just watched it not too long ago, and I honestly thought Ryan Spann looked like complete dog shit. I feel like Ryan Spann was out there literally careless. Out there willingly trading, sloppy, shooting. Unnecessary takedowns, no direction. And we saw what happened in his last fight. So I feel like Un Jung on the flip side, man, is gonna make way better decisions in the pocket. Stay technical, pick Sam Alvey apart with the jab. He throws a lot of jabs. I like guys that throw a lot of jabs. And look, I like Sam Alvey, but this is what I was saying even before the Spann fight and the other fights. It's like the game plan has been out to beat this guy. The only guys he's knocked out as of late is a bum by the name of Marcin Prachnio and he beat Rashad Evans by split decision. You know what I'm saying? This Alvey on the decline thing has been going on for years now. This ain't just a recent thing. I mean, even Klidson Abreu is out here, executing the game plan. Even, old guys on the tail end of their career like Talis Latis are coming out here and getting 30-27s. I mean, even 40-year-olds like Minotauro Nogueira are out here getting second round KOs against this guy. So, I like Sam Alvey, a great guy, and I feel like he's had a great career, a bit of an overachiever, I feel like. But I just feel like Un Jung's too big, too fast, gonna walk him down in the pocket, back him up on the fence, and I think he avoids the right hook. And honestly, at 205, I don't think Alvey's chin is the same at 205. I really feel like if you think he's trending upwards of that Span fight, I personally don't think so. I think Un Jung puts him away, man, and I think somewhere early, man, first round.
Yeah, listen, I actually agree with you about the Span fight. I mean, if you look at Span just during the walkout, I mean, he acted like the fight was already won. Like, he had zero cares in the world. So, I mean, yeah, there's a reason that shit went sketchy. And also, Ryan Span, I mean, I like the guy, but he's got kind of a suspect chin, and Un Jung doesn't. So I think that Un Jung isn't going to come out here and do any bullshit. I think he's going to stay on his game plan. I think he's going to be disciplined. I think he knows the right game plan to beat a guy like Sam Alvey. Just be slightly more active than Alvey and don't get caught with that counter right hook, and you win the fight. It's that simple. So I'm going with Un Jung to get the biggest win of his career, Shaq. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Alex Cowboy Oliveira. He's 22-8, and Shavkat Rakhmonov is 12-0. Currently, they got Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 115, and Alex Cowboy Oliveira is minus 105. Shaq, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, I disagree with this line. Listen, if this guy's name was Shavkat Johnson, I think we'd be looking at minus 200 for Alex Oliveira. But since his name is Shavkat Rakhmonov, well, now he's getting all this respect. And you want to know something? He's not even Russian, Shaq. I mean, look, no disrespect to the Kazakh fighters. I respect them a lot. He comes from a good scene, but people are betting him because they literally think that this is some Russian coming in here. This is not a Russian. This is a guy from Kazakhstan. And look, he kind of does try to do that Russian coast a little bit, but he hasn't been fighting the best competition on the regional scene. I mean, look, I'd say he's decently well-rounded. He definitely deserves to be in the UFC, but I feel like he's getting rushed up, man. I mean, they matched him up with Elizeu Zaleski initially. Now he's fighting Alex Cowboy. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe this guy's the real deal. And I do think that down the line he's going to win some UFC fights, but man, you got to be a certain level to go out there and beat a guy like Alex Cowboy Oliveira. And I know Oliveira's a stunt machine, and he might be dominating the fight and then give up his back and get caught in a choke or whatever the case may be. He might do something to fuck it up. I acknowledge that completely. But I still think that Alex Oliveira's body of work at least deserves to be a favorite. I think he at least deserves favorite status in this fight. So I think this is the most physical guy that Shavkat Rakhmonov has ever fought. I think this is the most experienced guy he's ever fought. I think Alex Oliveira is going to pin this guy against the fence, knee him in the body, and maybe not knock him out, but I think he's winning the decision. Just don't pull a stunt, Alex, and you win this fight. So I'm going with Alex Cowboy Oliveira to defeat Shavkat Rakhmonov.
I agree, man. I haven't seen a fight from him like in the last couple of years, but the last one I seen was in like 2018, and he got floored like hard. Like he went out like he fought I forget what dude it was, but it was in that WFCA promotion, and he got floored hard, man. And he was able to recover and get the win by decision. But I mean, I just thought he was decent. Like I didn't think he was like bad, but I was like, he's all right. I definitely felt like Alex Cowboy deserved to be the favorite in this fight, at least a 2-1 favorite, or minus 185. Like I get the guys Russian. Sometimes it's hard to fight the Russians. They play a good chess match type of game, but
he's
this guy,
Kazakh.
But he's got the Russian ties with. He's in the same camp with like Jan and
he's an off.
Yeah, like he trains with Peter Yan and Ismagulov and all of them. So, I feel like he's getting overrated. I definitely don't think he's ready for this fight. But, look, Alex Cowboy has been known to pull a stun or two. I mean, let's not remember that stun he pulled against Dalby, even though I thought he got completely fucked in that. But, hey, it is what it is. I mean, he could have got up. I mean, the Max Griffin fight, I felt like he made that fight a lot closer than what it needed to be. But, hey, he got the job done. But I feel like Alex Cowboy is actually fighting with a lot of motivation. He's got a couple kids. He's trying to clean up his life. He's trying to, not, go on rampages. So I feel like Alex Cowboy will come out here and get the win, man. But like you said, man, maybe I don't know something. I'm curious because it's like I see the people this dude hangs around, but it's like, can he fight with a dude that's beating the likes of Tim Means and who else is Alex Cowboy beating? Carlos Condit and, all these other guys, man. Ryan LaFleur, I mean, vicious knockout, so I'm interested to see, but I got to go with my boy Alex Cowboy.
Now, next up, in an 140-pound catchweight, we got a matchup between Casey Kenney, he's 15-2, and Nathaniel Wood is 17-4. Currently, they got Casey Kenney minus 170. The comeback on Nathaniel Wood is plus 150. So, Shaq, we got the two top bantamweight prospects that are outside the top 15 fighting for a top 15 spot. I guarantee you the winner of this fight is not only moving into the top 15, but they're going to fight a top 15 opponent next, because you got the top USA prospect, Casey Kenney, versus the man named the prospect, Nathaniel Wood. It's USA versus UK. Listen, I know that there's a whole...
Is my boy is Raoni Barcelos in the top 15?
He's top 10 as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what they're talking about, but he's top 10 as far as I know.
He's not even ranked. It's ridiculous.
But Shaq, listen, I know we like to joke around, or or not just us, but there's been a floating joke about how guys from the UK can't wrestle, but Nathaniel Wood is pretty fucking well-rounded, man. I mean, this guy can grapple, this guy can strike. He's the real deal. But Casey Kenney's the real deal too, man. So which way you leaning in this prospect showdown?
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that, because Nathaniel Wood's coach was Pickett. My boy Pickett used to can wrestle, man, back in the day. Like,
beat Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, like Pickett used to take dudes down and like pick them up and stuff. So, he was one of the UK dudes that could actually wrestle. But it's a good matchup, man. Ooh, so Casey Kenney, look, he looked real good his last fight, but let's just be honest here. Haile Alatang is no Nathaniel Wood, and John Castaneda is no Casey Kenney. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a big step up for both guys, since their last losses from Merab and Dotson. And, man, so I feel like Casey Kenney, he swings more hooks. I'd say he's a gamer. He's tough. He can grapple. We know he's a college wrestler. He's a judo black belt. He's got jiu-jitsu. Casey is one of the most well-rounded guys. I'd say his weakness is sometimes he kind of gets tired in the third round a little bit. And Nathaniel Wood, I'd say, honestly, man, Wood, he's really talented, but I'd say Wood, man, he's a super long striker. Like, he's good with the teeps. Like, he's good with the jabs. He's got some good long punches. I'd say his issue is, man, he like his coach Pickett, man, when he starts slugging, he gets carried away, and his chin isn't the best. I mean, I've seen my boy Wood do several chicken dances. Let's just say the Johnny Eduardo fight. Let's not remember that chicken dance. I remember there was a fight in Cage Warriors, man. I forget it was against who, but it was fucking crazy the amount of chicken dances he was doing in that fight. But he ended up knocking the guy out. But it was crazy, man. And then the Dotson
Josh Reed fight.
Josh Reed, is that his name? But it was fucking crazy. Yeah. Like, he was fucking on ice skates, Wood was, but he was able to get the win. And then the Dotson fight, he got knocked out there. I feel like he could have honestly beat Dotson, but he got carried away in the exchanges, and Dotson was a lot faster than him. Man, I feel like I can't go against Casey. I just feel like he's too tough, too gritty. But from a betting perspective, I can't lie. I do think there's some value on Wood. Like, I think it's going to be a tough fight. I feel like it's not going to be easy for either guy. Wood can grapple. Like, Wood's no slouch on the mat. And I like the way he's dealt with some other fights, like the Uhl fight. I like the way he dealt with the southpaw look there. And the kid's talented. Like, he's capable of winning this fight. It's just that I feel like Casey's more of a dog, a better chin. And just finds ways to win, man. Casey I just feel like he's a guy that'll find a way to win. But I see it being a close fight, but I can't go against Casey Kenney.
Yeah, look, it might be a dog or pass situation at the betting window, just because when you got two prospects like this, oftentimes you think it might be a pick 'em. But I do kind of agree with the line here, and not saying that there's much value in it. I still kind of think it's dog or pass, but I am siding with Casey Kenney as well, man. I think that Nathaniel Wood's a very talented grappler, but I mean, I got to go with the guy who, is actually an American wrestler here and a judo national champ. I think that Nathaniel Wood is a very talented point striker as well. He's got a very good shell game. The timing on his strikes is very unpredictable. He can make guys look stupid, make no question about it. It's just the durability is where I have the issue. All 4 of his losses are stoppage losses. And like you said, dude, he should have beat John Dodson. Like that was more of a letdown to me than Casey was against Merab. I mean, I picked Merab to beat Casey Kenney, and I love Casey Kenney. It was what it was. Casey Kenney cashed a max bet for me against Haile Alatang at minus 225 odds, but this is a completely different fight. I think that Casey Kenney is the harder hitter here. I think that Nathaniel Wood might have a better point fighting style. And the grappling, I slightly lean towards Casey Kenney. But I do think that if Casey starts to slow down, maybe Nathaniel could get a takedown or two, but it's contingent on Casey Kenney starting to slow down a bit or gas out. But I'm going to lean with Casey Kenney. I think he lands the harder shots. I think he might secure a takedown or two at the end of rounds. I just think he'll slightly outpoint Nathaniel Wood. But at the betting window, I mean, I understand people taking the shot on Wood when you see odds like that, but I'm going to slightly edge the American. I'm going to go with Casey Kenney here. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Stefan Struve, he's 29-12, and Tai Tuivasa is 10-3. Currently, they got Stefan Struve minus 110, and Tai Tuivasa is minus 110. So, I mean, I think we know what both guys want to do. I think Stefan Struve wants to get this to the mat. I think he wants to submit Tai Tuivasa. And I think Tai Tuivasa wants to follow the Mark Hunt blueprint, go out here and knock this guy's head off his shoulders. And I think that Tai Tuivasa, even though, you know, he's pulled a couple stunts inside the octagon and he doesn't seem like he's the brightest, at least he did this camp at AKA, which I respect. You know, address your weakness a little bit, get out of your comfort zone. Train with guys that are going to beat your ass. You're finally not the lion in the gym anymore. You know what I mean? So that's a good step in the right direction. And with Stefan Struve, I mean, it's been the same thing his entire career. I mean, the guy, he's got all the physical tools. He's 7 feet tall. He's got the massive reach.
You know,
but he doesn't use it.
You know, he knocked out Stipe unconscious.
You know, flukes happen. But look, I mean, if they fight again, holy shit, right? But no, I mean, look. Stefan Struve, I've wanted him to use his reach for the last decade, Shaq. You know what I mean? I've wanted him to, and he has at times. Look, he has looked good at times, but overall, it's not been what I've wanted from him. You know, he's been knocked out 8 times throughout his career, but I will say this. It might only take one takedown for the fight to be over shortly after. If he gets on top of Tai Tuivasa, I'll be very nervous for Tai. It's just that Struve doesn't often shoot for too many takedowns. The stats say he only shoots for 0.6 takedowns per 15 minutes. Now, granted, he might only need one in this spot, but to think that he's actually going to consistently go for takedowns, I don't see it happening. I think he kind of pulls guard more than he goes for takedowns, but I kind of think that Tai Tuivasa is going to back him up, is going to, you know, time the big left hook, the overhand, chop him down with leg kicks, and eventually get him out of here. It's just don't do anything stupid, Tai, and you'll probably win this fight. So I'm going to go with Tai Tuivasa via knockout here, Shaq.
Yeah, man. You know, I feel like Tuivasa is making some big changes for this fight, man. Look, he was quite honest. He said he's been kind of he was taking shit for granted. He was kind of half-assing a lot of things, like practice-wise, and you know, now he came out here with DC, and you know, maybe DC is what he needed to straighten out. I heard he quit drinking for 2.5 months or something like that. So, you know, and I heard he's lighter for this fight. So. You know, he said for the Spivak fight, he cut too much weight. I think he said a friend got killed like the day before or something like that. Yeah. And he just kind of got sold out. And personally, man, I honestly think I know Spivak has a bad rap, and because, you know, Tybura whipped his ass and Walt Harris steamrolled him. But I actually think Spivak is a young, talented heavyweight, man. I mean, look, he's like 25 and he beat Tuivasa and what's the Carlos Felipe. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like Spivak's actually very talented. He just got thrown into the wolves den a little too young. But as far as this fight goes, man, I feel like Tuivasa's got more to prove, more hungrier than Struve. We know Struve doesn't really want to fight anymore, man. He retired. Tai Tuivasa's never retired. Obviously, Tai Tuivasa, his last fight hasn't been good. I think the 2 prior to that, JDS, you know, hey, young kid, you took an L to JDS. There's no shame in that. The Blagoy fight was a great fight, back and forth. You know, Blagoy slightly edged it. But, you know, the last one, I honestly feel like Tuivasa's head just probably wasn't in it. And I do think that he's going to come into this fight a little more hungry, a little more sharper. And I just feel like he wants it more than Struve. I know Struve's got the reach and, the knees, the elbows, the long strikes, but, he'll flop to his back easily. He'll stay on his back. And, I mean, just look at that one win against Peizao. I mean, look, he was getting his ass whipped the entire time. And then, he just locked up one submission, and my boy Peizao, had to tap that mat. And then, the fight with Ben Rothwell, I mean, let's just be honest here, that was some of the ugliest heavyweight action I've seen in a long time. They need to let these boys take their steroids again, man. They need to let Big Ben, Struve, who else? JDS. Oh JDS. My gosh, Kane. Like, let everyone get back on the roids and come back, and let's have a real heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying?
Make heavyweight great again.
Make heavyweight great again, man. But yeah, I feel like I got to go with Tuivasa. I just think he's going to come in sharp for this fight.
So real quick, Joel Alvarez just missed weight. He came in at 159.5. So it seems like it was a tough weight cut. I mean, look, the dude's 6'3", almost 6'4". So he's got a big weight cut.
He's going to have to go to 70s at some point. So it's like...
I mean, the dude's fucking huge. So I don't think it was for a lack of effort. I think the guy's just really damn big. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Well, anyways, next up in the 205-pound division, we got the rematch between Magomed and Ankalaev. He's 13-1, and Iwan Cutelaba is 15-5. Currently, they got Magomed and Ankalaev. He's minus 310. The comeback on Iwan Cutelaba is plus 255. So, Shaq, I know a lot of people blame the ref for that stoppage the first time. And look, it wasn't the best stoppage. It was actually a horrific stoppage. But I blame Iwan Cutelaba more than I blame the ref. Like, that was a knock on his fight IQ. I don't care what anyone says. Like, why are you out there playing possum like that? And he didn't do a very good job either, man. I mean, I guess it was a good enough job to sell the ref that he was hurt. But it was like, I don't know. That's very questionable to me. Now, a lot of people disagree with me when I say that Iwan Cutelaba is first round or bust, but I mean, in 15 pro wins, 13 of them are first round finishes. One of them is a second round finish, and the only decision win is against Jonathan Wilson. So I don't give a fuck what no one says. As far as I'm concerned, if this guy gets past the first round, the likelihood is that he is not winning the fight. And with Ankalaev, even though we have seen him slow down later in rounds, like in that Paul Craig fight, I know you'll never forget that stunt he pulled against Paul Craig. I feel like we're kind of past that, man. I feel like he's starting to show improvements. He's a very talented guy. He's well-rounded. And actually, I heard that he's been doing this camp in the United States in Las Vegas. I was actually surprised. I thought he was, doing it in Russia, which is fine too, but he's actually doing it with Coach Eric Nixick at Extreme Couture. And word on the street is that Ankalaev's been out here knocking dudes out with head kicks in the gym. He's been doing the whole bit. He's focused. He's hungry. And I think as long as he doesn't get caught with something big in that first round, that he's going to be the one laying down the big shots, the head kicks, the multi-strike combinations. And as this fight progresses, I feel like it favors Ankalaev, and I'm picking him in the spot to win the rematch, Shaq.
Yeah, man. I feel like, obviously Cutelaba's the big underdog, but just in general, man, I feel like Cutelaba is very just overrated in general, man. I feel like he, it's just I think it's I don't want to say someone's stupid, but it's just a mental capacity thing. Like, it's just like, the playing possum thing. It's like, but then I watched the Glover Teixeira fight, and then he did the same thing in that fight as well. I mean, it just that Glover Teixeira ended up taking him down and he quit. So, I feel like Cutelaba, honestly, if he can't punk somebody out like how he did against Roundtree, like, he punked him out at weigh-ins. Roundtree's kind of, hit or miss mentally. Then, Jonathan Wilson, Frankenstein da Silva, what's the stunt Russian, Antigolov, you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys, Stunt Tigilov, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like this guy in that performance was super ugly, man. I feel like Cutelaba is first round or bust, or maybe I'll even go ahead and say first 3 minute or bust. So, I feel like Ankalaev is going to come out here and absolutely outclass him, man. I feel like Ankalaev, I'm willing to forgive him for the Paul Craig stunt because, hey, Paul Craig's been able to pull that off more since then too. So hey, Paul Craig went to draw with Shogun. Hey, you got to give him his props. So I feel like, hey, it was a good learning lesson, but I gotta go with Ankalaev, man. He's the longer striker, and once he clears that first 2-3 minute storm of Cutelaba, bombing off on overhand rights, I feel like he's gonna knock him out with a left high kick, a front kick, a straight left, it's something like that. But I definitely see Ankalaev getting a finish.
So real quick, Alex Cowboy just came in at 173 pounds. So, my boy.
So they already trying to pull stunts, huh?
Hopefully that doesn't affect his mental too much. I'll say this: when he missed by a mile against Will Brooks, he whooped Will Brooks. So he has missed weight and won fights before. So just remember that.
So you're saying he's gonna fuck this Kazakhstani up?
Yeah, he might. Don't put it past him. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Lauren Murphy, she's 13-4, and Liliya Shakirova is 8-1. Currently, they got Lauren Murphy -210. The comeback on Liliya Shakirova is +175. Shaq, we got a fighter named Shakirova making her UFC debut. You want to take this one? You go with the fellow Shaq here?
Yeah, man, it's I feel like Liliya Shakirova. Yeah, I feel like she's very talented. A good lefty. She's got a good kicking game. I feel like she's gonna be really good. In the future. It's just I don't know. I don't think she's gonna be ready to compete on this level on a week short notice, man. I feel like she's got a good career ahead of her. It's just that, man, look, I know you guys have heard me shit on Lauren Murphy like plenty of times, but man, like honestly, like I was saying about Ankalaev, to be honest, man, there's been nothing, reeking of positivity, man. It's like, this girl's like completely different. Let's just be honest here, man. Like in her last 3 fights, a chick's been knocked out stiff. Andrea Lee's face was battered. A mouthpiece was coming out all over the place. And Roxanne Modafferi was doing a whip, a nene, a stanky leg. Murphy slammed her on her head. Lauren Murphy's last 3 fights. Look, I know the secret. I don't want to release, but hey, matter of fact, I will release it. She has been working with Marvin Vittori's doctor. I forget the dude's name. I forget the dude's name, but it's on YouTube. Just go to her YouTube channel. But there's some dude from Italy, man. The dude's like he's like a doctor, a chef. I was like, and he works with Marvin too. So, and some other dudes. So, that's been a part of her success. She left the lab. I think she's gonna come out here and just and outclass this girl. I think Lilia's got a bright future ahead, but she hasn't fought anybody. Is she ready to work hard in the clinch? Murphy, her fights get rough. Chicks getting battered and chunks are flying, man. That's just the facts. Is she ready to be in these tough positions? And I just don't think so. But I get it. You got a big line to fade Lauren Murphy. I get that idea maybe like a year or two ago, but like currently right now, look, Roxanne Modafferi, another person I've made fun of in the past, but look, a win over Roxanne Modafferi at 125 means something. That's just the facts about it. So I'm gonna go with Lauren Murphy. I honestly think she probably beats this girl up pretty good. She's been moving forward. She gets hit a lot, but she moves forward. Look, she took the words out of my mouth after she knocked out Mara Barella, stiff on that canvas. So we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, man, if you compare Lauren Murphy a couple of years ago to Lauren Murphy now, it's a completely different fighter, man. She's had a true transformation. And now it makes sense that she's got Marvin Vittori's doctor, because you see the kind of physique that Lauren Murphy's got now, the kind of conditioning. She can push deep into the 3rd round. It's a different fighter. That's why I agree with you when you say that if you want to fade her, I feel like a couple of years ago was the time to do it. Don't get me wrong. She fights Valentina. That's a different story. Plus it'll be like -1,000 Valentina. But she is not fighting Valentina. She's fighting a newcomer. And like you said, Liliya Shakirova, she might have a bright future down the line. She's a tough girl. But I think she's not only outclassed here, but she's also outsized here. I think she's kind of too small for Lauren Murphy. And I think she will go on to win a couple UFC fights, but this is a tough ask and a tall order for her UFC debut. So I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy. Most likely unanimous decision, but a TKO stoppage somewhere along the way won't surprise me either. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Phil Hawes. Between Phil Hawes, he's 8-2, and Jacob Malkoun is 4-0. Currently, they got Phil Hawes minus 240. The comeback on Jacob Malkoun is plus 200. So this is an interesting fight, man. This one's tough for me to call because it's like Phil Hawes, look, he's a very athletic guy, and he's definitely paid his dues to make it to the UFC. I mean, he's taken some very brutal setbacks. Shout out to my boy Lewis Put the Guns Down Taylor, who went out there and finished Phil Hawes in style with that nasty guillotine. But listen, Phil Hawes paid his dues. You know, that Julian Marquez fight, now he's worked his way back up. He picked himself back up, got on a win streak, earned this spot in the UFC with that vicious knockout on Contender Series. And with Jacob Malkoun, I don't know much about him. I know that he trains with Robert Whittaker. He's from Australia. He's undefeated. He's only 4-0. But what I saw, he's pretty solid, man. I mean, his boxing isn't half bad. I saw him get up from bottom. I saw him land some nice ground and pound. Now, granted, the level of competition he was fighting was, very subpar. So you got to give the experience edge to Phil Hawes. He's been in there with way better guys like Lewis Taylor, like Julian Marquez. So definitely, I'm just questioning what happens if, if Phil Hawes can't get like a first round knockout or something. Can this guy Malkoun kind of make it a tough fight and kind of just outwill Phil Hawes? So that's what I'd be worried about. So I think it might be a dog or pass situation, but I'll slightly lean with the experience of Phil Hawes and the athleticism. But I wouldn't be surprised either way, man. I think that you can't lay minus 240 on Phil Hawes, but as a pure pick, I'll pick him here to get it done based off the experience.
Yeah, man, this is a fight I'm interested in because I feel like, I really didn't know too much about Phil Hawes, to be honest. But, I know a lot of people. I know he was a big hype train, obviously, and that the Marquez fight, he got viciously knocked out and, things like that. But I know he was a prospect that didn't live up. But, man, I feel like this particular fight, man, it's really I feel like he's getting really slept on here, man, because, dude, look, I know but look, he fought, this dude literally, this is what we call when you make, this is like he had a bad career path in the beginning. I think he was 2-0, 3-0. I think he fought Luis Taylor, who was 13-2 at the time, who's beaten all the dudes that he's knocked out Russians and all this other stuff, like beating real legit dudes, been in there with Dave Branch, and you put Philip Hawes in there with them at 3-0, and he gets choked out. Yet alone, after that fight, he should go back to the local scene and get some more experience. But instead, they force the issue and put him in Contender Series the fight after that. You know what I'm saying? Against Julian Marquez. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe he had one win in between, but he's still not ready for that spot. Marquez is a guy who finished Darren Stewart. You know what I'm saying? This is a completely different level. He took the vicious knockout loss there, just gassing out, not having any sense of direction. But man, since that point, man, I feel like this dude's paid his dues, and he went out there, and the dudes that he knocked out in Brave weren't the best guys, but just the experience, going overseas. He's already used to flying, to foreign countries. He fought in India, he fought in these Middle East countries, and he got first round knockouts. Yeah, we haven't seen him in the second, but as far as this guy, Jacob Malkoun isn't ready for the UFC. And that's just what you just said a couple minutes ago. I saw him get up from bottom. I saw him land some ground and pound. I saw him get these are things that, any fighter could do. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the only thing this guy's, in this matchup, that why this line isn't wider is because he's Robert Whittaker's training partner. The guys that he's fought are complete bums. He comes from that scene, and I'm not saying that everyone from that scene is bad, because Crute came from that promotion, Hex. But what about the Malarkeys of the world and the the Kulabaus and the Callan Potters and there's some other guys too, but I feel like the dudes he fought were just not even, there was no resistance at all, man. This guy ain't never been hit before in a real fight. This guy ain't never even had to stuff a takedown from a level wrestler that Philip Hawes is. Like, this guy ain't ready for the UFC. This guy, I'm not even sure if this guy would win the NFC title, bro. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I really think Philip Hawes is going to put this guy away here in the first round. I don't think he's ready for the spot. I think he's being thrown into it. This is like that typical, like, when they bring in, I'm just kidding, but when they bring in like Diaz's teammate, what was the kid's name?
Avila.
Yeah, like just like the dude's not ready for the UFC. Like he's got 4 fights against absolutely nobody. Like you said, yeah, I saw him get up from bottom. I saw him land some ground and pound, but I really feel like Philip Hawes is getting underrated in this spot. I think he knocks this guy out in the first round, man. I mean, you fought Lewis Taylor at 2-0, 3-0, fought Julian Marquez. Like, I feel like he's ready for this spot. I feel like this is a good fight for him.
Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Alexander Volkov, he's 31-8, and Walt Harris is 14-8. Officially 13-8, but we both know he beat Arlovsky, so he's 14-8. You can't take that win away from him. Currently, they got Alexander Volkov -175. The comeback on Walt Harris is +155. And I know I just said he's 14-8. He's actually 15-7 because between you and me, he also beat Mark Godbeer. So a couple of his wins have been taken away from him. But look, all bullshit aside, man, as a fan, nothing would make me happier than seeing Walt Harris come out here, knock out Alexander Volkov, have that moment inside the cage, give a nice speech. We all feel good for him. I mean, how can you not cheer for a guy like Walt Harris? All the bullshit he's been through. Like, I want to see this guy win as a fan. But stylistically, I just think this is a really tough matchup if he doesn't get the knockout, man. I feel like Alexander Volkov has got a good, disciplined point fighting style. He's very tall. I mean, 6'7". He's got the 80-inch reach. Normally, Walt Harris is the taller guy at 6'5", but now you got a guy here who's 6'7". And if Volkov can come out here, stay disciplined, point fight, keep this on the outside, I think he should come out here and win the decision. So my pure pick will be Alexander Volkov. But just as a fan and emotionally, I really hope Walt Harris gets this done. I'll be cheering for him. I'll be happy for him. But I think Volkov probably wins the decision, Shaq.
Man, I know Volkov's a popular pick this week. Look, Volkov showed his heart his last fight against Blades. I mean, he had several opportunities to get smashed on, and he didn't. And Walt Harris definitely, I don't want to say he dropped the ball, but, has he weighed in yet?
Nah, but I know he's in way better shape for this fight.
I want to see, because I heard he had a 13-week camp. I know he had a very long time to prepare. And, I see this being probably one of the heavyweight fights that probably goes 3 rounds. And, Walt Harris, he hasn't had the best luck in those. I know he got the win over Arlovsky. But, man, just like, honestly, I know Volkov's, great fighter, beat Verdum. And I just can't trust him at that line, man.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Volkov came in fucking heavy, bro. Like, okay, so his last fight against Curtis Blades, he came in 247. His fight against Greg Hardy, he came in 251. Guess what he came in this fight, Shaq?
What?
At the limit, 265. So Volkov's kind of fat for this one, possibly. Unless he's got a new strength and conditioning program and he put on a lot of muscle. But 265 for Volkov when the guy's a mover and a point fighter, I don't know if that's a good sign, man.
Well, just even before that, man, I was saying I can't trust Volkov at that line. And the reason is it's like, when he came into the UFC, look, his first 2 fights were but the Tim Johnson fight was close. I mean, it could have went either way. He got dropped in that fight. I mean, he got floored in that fight. You can't forget that. He was able to get the win over Roy Nelson. I feel like the Verdum fight, yeah, he knocked him out, but that's a completely different matchup. On the feet, he's got a big edge there. But in other fights, like, I cannot get over that Black Beast fight, man. That's like, it's like such a big lack of focus, lack of concentration that it's like, you're up, 2 rounds. I mean, this thing's in the bag, and he got super tired, and he got knocked out. And then, the Greg Hardy fight, a fight he should win. Greg Hardy's not ready for that. I just don't see the big gap here between the two, like a lot of people are thinking. I'm not saying that Walt Harris is going to come out here and knock him out or anything, but I think Walt Harris can, maybe possibly land the harder shots throughout the 3 rounds, or maybe even catch a knockout, man. Volkov's been known to pull a stunner or two in the past. I just would not trust Alexander Volkov, and this is coming from a fan of his. Like, at this line, I feel like, he kind of at times drops the ball, and Walt Harris, I feel like, is super hungry for this fight. And yeah, I know Walt Harris, when fights go to decision, I mean, look, the pulling the trigger thing has always been the issue, and when you lose this fight by decision, you're going to be, fuck. But, I just can't trust Volkov at that line, man. I actually think Walt Harris is going to come out here and get the upset, man. I think he's just going to be in better shape for this fight. After that last one, man, I feel like, he came in super heavy for that fight, like 8 pounds heavier than what he, or at least 6 to 8 pounds heavier than like what he usually did, due to the circumstances. And I just think, after this 13-week camp, he's going to come in lighter, faster, sharper. And I think he gets the upset, man. I get it. Volkov 6'7", and he's a good point fighter, but I just see a guy that he fights close a lot, or just like, he's had a lot of letdown moments. I know you remember that Tony Johnson fight back in Bellator, and in the Czech Congo fight, and like things like that. But I'm gonna go with Walt Harris.
Just real quick, how come Volkov weighed in 18 pounds heavier for this fight than the Curtis Blades fight? Like, that is alarming as fuck. I don't care what no one says. Like, that, like 18 pounds heavier, like, and you're a mover. You're supposed to stay on the outside with the footwork and do the whole bit. So I don't like that right off the bat. And real quick, odds just opened up for a different fight. Arnold Allen -190, Jeremy Stevens +165. But anyway, Shaq, co-main event of the evening, we got Robert the Reaper Whittaker. He's 21-5, and Jared Cannonier is 13-4. Currently, they got Jared Cannonier -110, and Robert Whittaker is -110. So look, I know a year or two ago, Robert Whittaker would have been a decent-sized favorite in this spot, but this is not a year or two ago. This is now. And you and I both said that after the 10 rounds with Yoel Romero, that neither guy was going to come back the same. And look, Yoel Romero hasn't won a fight since, and Robert Whittaker has been dropped in every single fight since. The Izzy Adesanya fight and the Darren Till fight in that first round with the left elbow. But I got to give Robert Whittaker a lot of credit, man. I mean, his heart is still on point. His conditioning is there. I mean, he recovered from that elbow, got back up, and ended up winning the fight. So I like that. But, man, I'm not sure if he can recover from a Jared Cannonier shot. And Robert does fight with his hands down. So I want to hear your perspective first, but I will say this. If this goes the distance, I have to lean towards Whittaker. But the thing is, will this go the distance? I mean, Robert fights with his hands down, and he's been put down his last three fights in a row.
Yeah, man. Coming into this, man, I was really thinking, Cannonier was probably going to knock him out. But, man, look, I really like Jared. I think what he's done since he's been at 185 has been really good, knocking out Branch, Anderson Silva, and Jack Hermanson. But man, this is a different ball game now, man. Like, look, I know Whittaker, a lot of people think he's done on the tail end, but even the Till fight, live, I was thinking he kind of, looked like a diminished version, but I rewatched it, man. It was a high level chess match, man. I mean, Till with that left, it's like, you can't get in the way of that thing, and then it's like, and I feel like Robert's confidence was probably a little low going into that. I mean, he just lost his belt. He just got knocked out. He's a little cloudy. But now he got the win. Maybe he's a more rejuvenated, more improved version of himself off that win. Maybe he wants a rematch. Look, I definitely am fearful that he gets caught early. But, man, to be honest, like, I honestly think he's better than Cannonier everywhere, man. I feel like Cannonier – like, I don't want to discredit these wins because he's shown great improvement. But Jack Hermanson has nowhere near the speed, power, footwork of a Robert Whittaker. Jack Hermansson's, no offense, he's a one-dimensional grappler. Like, he's got decent stand-up, but we know that Jack was banking on submitting Cannonier. When that didn't work out, he completely panicked and the calf kicks. I will say this: Cannonier's calf kicks are some of the most vicious calf kicks in the game, and Whittaker does put a lot of weight on that front leg. So, I mean, look, if his calf goes out, his calf goes out, and props to Cannonier. Cannonier is super impactful, but I feel like Robert Whittaker is sharper, faster, better overall, higher level experienced, not more durable. Cannonier is definitely more durable, and he's got that going for him, and the more power, but I just feel like Whittaker's got more advantages in this fight, but it could go either way, 100%. I mean, Cannonier's got scary power, but I just feel like his footwork isn't on Rob's level. I just feel like Whittaker. I'm confident Whittaker's the better fighter. It's just his chin. He's been wobbled, like you said, every single fight since then. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go with Robert Whittaker. I just feel like he should be the favorite, but we'll see.
So real quick, Walt Harris just weighed in. You're gonna like this. 254 pounds. This is the lightest he's been since the Daniel Spitz fight. So 10.5 pounds lighter than the Alistair Overeem fight, lighter than the Olenek fight, lighter than the Spivak fight, lighter than the Arlovsky fight. The only time he's been lighter than this was the Spitz fight. So very good sign for Walt Harris. Now, back to this matchup, Shaq, between Robert Whittaker and Jared Cannonier. So, look, I mean, I agree with all the points you said. I mean, I can't dispute what you said. And I also kind of am worried when I think that, a guy should be a favorite and he's not. I mean, it is a pick 'em, but, man, it's just one of those things where it's like, I really do think that if Whittaker can't, make it to the scorecards, that it's going to be not because he knocked out Cannonier, but because Cannonier knocked him out. And I think that, look, Whittaker's definitely got a path. And I hate to call a guy like that with as many knockouts as he has a point fighter, but it would be better to not go toe-to-toe with Cannonier and instead come out here and just outland him and try to make it to the cards. But the thing with that is, Whittaker fights with his hands down. I feel like something up top is going to catch him. And also, Cannonier can chop him down with those leg kicks, those devastating calf kicks, get the movement to slow down a bit, and then it might become kind of an even playing field. So I'm going to actually go with Jared Cannonier to win this fight. But I do agree with you that I kind of wish it was dog money so I could say Jared Cannonier for the upset, because this could be like, that legend letdown spot where, like a Hooker versus Barboza, or like a Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez type fight where, where they're rushing the guy, not rushing the guy, but hyping the guy a little bit too soon. But I like what I've seen from Cannonier. I mean, we can say what we want about Hermansson, but usually when Hermansson takes guys down, the fights are over shortly after. And especially when he took him down, he took his back. And the fact that Cannonier was able to scramble out of that's a big statement. I know Branch and Anderson are kind of on their way out, but he handled them both accordingly. So I like that. And I also like the fact that, we've seen this guy at heavyweight, at light heavyweight, now at 185. This is the finished product of Jared Cannonier. This is the best version of Jared Cannonier at 185 pounds. So even though he's the older guy, and I'm not going to sit here and say a 29-year-old like Robert Whittaker is on his way out. I disagree with that. That'd be disrespectful to say to the former champ. I just think that Cannonier might have a style to present some problems with his power here. So I'm going to actually go with Jared Cannonier to get this one done.
Real quick, Jared Cannonier, where he got discovered? The Alaska Fighting Championships. My boy was
he's come a long way since then, right?
Him, man. I saw he posted a picture today. It was like him, Lauren Murphy, and they were like, young fighters back in Alaska. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, they came a long way.
They really have. A guy from Alaska beat Jack Hermansson in a fight.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean? He went the distance with Jan Blachowicz,
Yeah. Man, he's fought tough competition too, man, because at 205, he was fighting, like you said, Blachowicz, Reyes, some big fucking boys, man. The Cutelaba, he beat him, you know what I'm saying? Cannonier, he ain't scared of nothing.
Yeah, he really ain't. And the guy's, he's talking like Thanos out there. He's walking around with stones, doing the whole bit.
You remember when he used to be a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, now he's like talking about taking mushrooms and shit. You know,
No,
so
he smokes like mad weed now, man. Like he's on IG always smoking weed.
that's what's up. Shout out to my boy Jared Cannonier. Main event of the evening for the lightweight belt. We got Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov. He's 28-0, and Justin the Highlight Gaethje is 22-2. Currently, they got Khabib Nurmagomedov minus 310. The comeback on Justin Gaethje is plus 255. So, Shaq, I know as a betting man, anytime you see a number like that next to Justin Gaethje's name, it's gotta stand out. It's gotta be intriguing. The only catch is he's fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's not just fighting some random guy. What do you think about this fight? Is Justin Gaethje the one?
Yeah, man. Man, shout out to Gaethje, man, because he's one of my favorite fighters, man. Ever since he fought Poirier, man, I've been a big fan of this. That same night, man, it's kind of crazy that he's in the spot because that same night I said to myself, like, I wouldn't be shocked if this dude made it all the way back to a title fight, and that's exactly what he did, man. So, man, Khabib, arguably the GOAT, arguably the number one pound for pound. I mean, we already know the deal here. Can Gaethje stuff the takedowns? What happens if Khabib gets him fully down? Does he have the jiu-jitsu to get back up? Does he have the scrambling ability? Man, can Khabib take a Gaethje punch? Man, but Justin Gaethje just beat Tony Ferguson, 12-fight win streak, big win. But man, look, I bet on him in that fight. He was like plus 180 or plus 175 or something like that. And the reason was because I just felt like Tony Ferguson's, just wasn't. I know he was on his 12-fight win streak, but it was kind of like, a Holloway Poirier situation. It's like, dude, there's no way he's going to walk forward and just, get off on these shots against Gaethje. Like, there's just no way. And that's exactly what happened. And that win's great, but it's like Tony Ferguson is all over the place. Tony Ferguson's chin is straight up in the air, and it's a completely different style matchup. It's like, I love that, the fact that he was able to dominate him from start to finish, and that shows you the type of competitor that he is. So, it's like, it's just one fight, man. I must sit back and enjoy and just kick my feet up and watch these two dudes. As much as I want to bet Gaethje, it's like, I don't know if he can say it could be a waste of, it could just be wasting we know the deal it could be. It's like, we're going to know right away, can he stuff? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if he goes to his back in the first round, it's like, fight's over. I mean, let's just be honest here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if he can't get up by the first round, the fight's over. But, Justin Gaethje, man, I can't ever play chalk against a guy like him. Like, do you know the type of sweats you would have? Like, bro, with that dude swinging punches at your head. And look, the big concern I have with Khabib in this fight, man, is I don't know how many calf kicks that leg can take before it goes out. You know what I'm saying? The boxing wise, I feel like Khabib definitely has some underrated boxing, but with a guy like Justin Gaethje, it doesn't matter. If one of those things get around those ears, if one of those things get, clip a forehead, anything, and then his instincts, man, to just go in for the kill, or just, his last fight, he showed that he can stay patient and just break you down, against a guy like Tony Ferguson. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't be shocked, but it's like, that guy, man, is fucking good. His coaching staff is good. Trevor Whitman and them, man, they're the best in the business. They're coming in with a very complex, game plan to come in here and get the win. I don't know how he's going to stuff the takedowns, but man, if he does and Khabib has to stand with him for any length of time, I truly believe, Khabib bettors will be holding their breath. I think it's only a matter of time before Gaethje lands something to stun him. I think Khabib's a warrior. But look, when Dustin touched him on that chin the few times that he did not like it. And you get a guy like Gaethje who's actually, a college wrestler that can actually stay upright for maybe a little longer, maybe he can have some success. But I'm not going to go against Khabib. The wrestling usually overpowers everything, and guys usually succumb to the cardio. And he gets tired. I mean, that's one of his flaws. He has been tired in the Eddie Alvarez fight. He did get tired against Dustin. He has been huffing and puffing. But since then, he just knocks guys out. Or in the last one, I mean, look, to perform like that on on what was it, like 18 days notice. It was very impressive. So I'm gonna sit back and enjoy. My pick is Khabib, but betting perspective, it's Gaethje or pass for me, man. Because I just feel like that dude has his intangibles, man, are scary, man. Like I know Khabib's Khabib and he's a legend and he's the GOAT, but Gaethje, man, he's a gamer. But we'll see what happens, man. I'm super excited for this fight. This is as excited for a fight as I've been in a long time. So we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Man, this is such a great fight. Right off the bat, to talk about that Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson fight, I would never discredit a performance like that, but I just want to factually state that, yes, he did make it to the 5th round, and not only make it to the 5th round, knock out Tony Ferguson or stop him in the 5th round, but Shaq, 0 takedowns were attempted in that fight, and it requires a completely different type of conditioning to deal with takedowns in the fight than to just be in a stand-up fight for 5 straight rounds. But, I mean, if you had the video game and you're creating a fighter and you want to create the guy to defeat the great Khabib Nurmagomedov, the first place we'd start is the wrestling. And I mean, Justin Gaethje is a 2-time state champion wrestler from Arizona, and he went on to wrestle at the Division I level at Northern Colorado. He's a Division I All-American at Northern Colorado. So this guy's got the fucking credentials to come out here and do it. It's just executing it is a completely different story. So can he do it or not? And I don't think he's going to come out here and attempt takedowns against Khabib or anything like that. I think he's going to try to use his wrestling in reverse. Now, you brought up a great point about the calf kicks. Can he come out here like in the first 30 seconds, like land 4 of them in a row and immediately kind of immobilize Khabib and kind of take a little bit of the explosiveness away from that shot? I'm very curious to see if he can do that. So the first part would be the wrestling. The second part would be the power. I mean, when you talk about Gaethje, this is a guy who's won 19 of his 22 wins by knockout or TKO. So this guy is a proven highlight machine. And when you talk about how he's been one of your favorite fighters since the Poirier fight, Shaq, let's be honest, he's been one of your favorite fighters since WSOF. Because, I mean, this fucking guy, when he was performing in World Series of Fighting and we were watching him on CBS, he was like the most exciting fighter in MMA. Well, yeah. And we couldn't wait.
Well, yeah, but back then, honestly, yeah, we always watched his fights. But I remember a lot of people were like saying, "How long can this guy fight like this? He's gonna die. There's no way Gaethje can." Bro, that was the talk. You remember those baboon against Luis Palomino and the Buscapé fight where he was in there, trading sloppy and shit. Like people were saying, like Gaethje's gonna die in there one day, man.
That's very true. So I guess the difference is, okay, so he's always been one of the most exciting fighters we've ever seen, but now we view him as like a top 3 elite fighter. So now he's one of the most elite fighters. I mean, he's got a fucking interim lightweight belt. To touch any kind of gold in that division, which is the most talent-stacked division in the entire sport, speaks volumes to the kind of level he's on. So he's not just exciting. He's the highest of the highest caliber, too. So not only does he have the wrestling and the power and the leg kicks, he's also got the grit. I mean, this guy is as tough as they come. He's got the heart of a champion, and he's willing to go to that dark place that's required, that a lot of fighters, they're not eager to visit. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's able to tap into that, and I remember he famously said before the Tony Ferguson fight, he said, "Tony, take me to that dark place of yours." Well, he's going to really need to go to a dark place to beat a guy like Khabib. So, I mean, those are the things that Gaethje's got going for him, man. But the things that make Khabib so great, listen to this stat, Shaq. Khabib has successfully completed 59 takedowns in 12 UFC fights, okay? I repeat, 59 successful takedowns in 12 UFC fights. I mean, this guy is truly a takedown machine, and because of that, people underrate his stand-up, but I think his stand-up's not half bad either. I mean, he's the only man in UFC history to drop Conor McGregor, and you can sit here and say that, Conor was worried about the takedown, and that's probably true, but that kind of sounds like an excuse to me, because you have to have some kind of, capability standing if you want to go out there and drop a guy like McGregor. And, he was out there against Edson Barboza. And normally it's like, hey, if you trade kicks with Edson Barboza, that's a death sentence. Khabib's out there kicking Barboza, no problem, throwing flying knees against Barboza.
What about when he stood in the middle of Madison Square Garden and popped Alvarez's head back?
Oh, yeah, I was about to get to that. I mean, he felt so unthreatened by Iaquinta that he went out there and put on a jab clinic against Iaquinta. So I would not sleep on Khabib stand-up at all. But, yeah, obviously, if you want to beat a guy like Gaethje, I don't recommend standing in the pocket with him. The guy hits really hard, but you cannot, and he's accurate and he's precise, the whole bit, but you cannot sleep on the stand-up of Khabib either. But I think more so Khabib will use the stand-up to set up the shots, and in the middle of the cage, that's where I think Gaethje's going to stuff. It's just against the fence. That's where I'm most worried about for Gaethje. So I do see this being the toughest fight of Khabib's career, and I think there is upset potential for sure, because look, oftentimes with these long-reigning champions, it usually happens when you least expect it, man. Like if you would have told me that Chris Weidman was going to be the guy to not just defeat Anderson Silva, but knock him out, I would have patted you on the back and sent you on your way. If you would have told me Holly Holm was going to beat Ronda Rousey, I would have been like, yeah, right, dude. Even another example, if you would have told me TJ Dillashaw was going to dethrone Renan Barão back then, I would have been like, yeah, okay. And people might laugh at that now, but TJ Dillashaw was a plus 700 dog at the time. Renan Barão was on a 32-fight win streak. He was 32-1. People were, I remember when they were calling him the number one pound for pound fighter. So, like, these long-reigning champions, they lose when you least expect it. Even John Jones, like, I expect him to win every fight so dominantly, and these last two, they've been getting more and more competitive. So these long-reigning champions lose when you least expect it. So will I be surprised if Justin Gaethje is the one? No, I won't. It's just I don't have the conviction to sit here and say that I think Khabib is going to lose a fight at this point with everything he's accomplished. And as far as the, the father stuff, just, all our respect to Abdul Manap, a true legend and pioneer. But I don't think that that's going to make a difference here. I don't think that Khabib is the kind of guy that is going to be slacking in the gym. And I also don't think that he's the guy that's going to come out here with like extra motivation. I think Khabib is a consistent guy no matter what. So I think Khabib's going to show up with the same fire and intensity that he always does. So I don't really factor that into the equation. It's just more so about the line. Do you think the line is off or not? Do you want to lay minus 330 against a guy like Justin Gaethje? I mean, look, in the Conor McGregor fight, Khabib was only minus 165. In the Dustin Poirier fight, Khabib was only minus 250. He's minus 350 here, and this is a tougher fight. But you could also argue that he should have been minus 350 in those two fights. So maybe the line is rightly adjusted, or on the flip side, maybe it is some recency bias. So I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to lean with Khabib Nurmagomedov to get it done. But will I be surprised if Gaethje is the guy? No, I won't, because stylistically he does present some threats. You can't deny it. But ultimately, as a pure pick, I got to go with Khabib, the Eagle Nurmagomedov, to remain the champion. So we'll see what happens Saturday night, Shaq. Well, Shaq, now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So what is the fight to watch for UFC 254?
Yeah, my fight to watch is going to be the co-main event, man. Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. I mean, the stakes are high in this one. Whittaker, I mean, look, if he wins this fight, he can get his rematch against Adesanya. And I know that's a fight that he wants. And Adesanya's been calling the fight Cannonier. I mean, he's been saying that Jared Cannonier is his soul brother and that he wants to give him this title shot, after this fight, man. So Cannonier's got a lot of pressure. I mean, the title shot is literally in your hands if you win this fight. The stakes are high. And I mean, man, the loser of this fight is going to take a big step back, man. It's like, this is it, man. So that's my fight to watch. The middleweight division is getting more intriguing, man. We got guys like, Whittaker and Cannonier doing their thing. I know Hermanson and Till are about to get it in here soon. I've been looking forward to that fight. You got guys like, Weidman just got to win. I heard he wants to fight Khamzat,
I heard they took Leon Edwards out the rankings, so now he's down to fight Khamzat, Shaq. So that's gonna be interesting to see if that actually happens.
Poor Leon, man. But at the same time, he kind of played himself, man. It's like, he didn't. I mean, he should have realized like you don't have as much pool as you think you do, man. Like I mean, look, yeah, you've been winning, but like, some of those fights nobody gave a shit about. I mean, look, there were good performances, like just from a general perspective. But like, if I go ask, a casual, hey, can you tell me what happened in that Leon Edwards cowboy fight? They'll be like, you know what I'm saying? Who? Never heard of him.
I mean, let's just state the facts. I mean, Shaq, firstly, you know how this business works, so I don't gotta say shit, but like. But Khamzat actually has 1 million followers on Instagram. No joke, no exaggeration.
The honest truth about it is if you walk out on the street right now and go ask somebody who, or like a bunch of, high school kids who Leon Edwards and show them his picture, none of them will see, like, none of them will know who he is. If you show them Kamzat, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that dude. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just facts.
But hey, man, Shaq, but Leon, man, I hope he gets a fight, man. He should have fought Jeff. He should have fought Steven, man.
Yeah, and look, with all due respect, we know how good Leon Edwards is, so we're just talking a little shit. But anyways, my fight to watch is Casey Kenney versus Nathaniel Wood. I mean, this is a true prospect showdown. The winner is going to move into the top 15. And I have a feeling that neither guy's going to give an inch because the other guy's going to take a mile. And these two are going to have a real fight. And it might even be a chess match. So I cannot wait for Casey Kenney versus Nathaniel Wood. That is my fight to watch. Well, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC 254?
My fighter to watch, man, is going to be Magomed Ankalaev, man. The 205 division, man, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Jon Jones, yes, currently he is the GOAT, but, man, I felt like for a long time that division was like DJ's division at 125, man. I felt like it was honestly like, who cares at this point, man? Like, I feel like now that he's gone, man, the division's wide open. Like, you got Blachowicz, he is the champ now. You got these guys like Ratchik who, and Jiri, I don't know how to say his last name, I'm talking about my boy Jiri. That made Nemkov quit and, knocked out Volkan Ozdemir. But, I feel like the 205 division's fun. You got exciting. Matt Croup just got a vicious knockout. Jamal Hill and OSP are fighting. Ankalaev, man, is the guy to watch because, man, if he gets this knockout win over Cutelaba, man, he could throw his name right into the hat in the mix with these guys, man. 205 is very fun right now, man. A lot of, Smith's fighting my boy Brown Bear, who else is fighting, man? 205, man. Keep an eye out for that division. Johnny Walker just got a knockout win. I want to see Johnny Walker versus Crute. Man, 205, man. Now that Jon Jones is out the picture, man, trust me, that division's about to get a lot more exciting.
Yeah, and look, just to stick with that point, my fighter to watch is also in the 205-pound division, and my fighter to watch is Un Jung. I mean, listen, he's got an opportunity here, and this is going to be a big fight because if he comes out here and just kind of squeaks a decision against Sam Alvey, kind of like Ryan Spann did, I don't think that people will, give a shit as much. But if he comes out here like Jimmy Crute did and knocks out Alvey in the first round, well, all of a sudden we're looking at a Korean prospect in Un Jung in the light heavyweight division. He can add himself to that mix with all these emerging prospects. So I'm very curious to see what kind of performance he has. And for that reason, Un Jung is my fighter to watch. Well, Shaq, we did it. It's going down this Saturday night, or this Saturday afternoon, actually. The fights start in the morning. From Fight Island, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, UFC 254, Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. They can follow you at MMA Genius 05. They can follow me at Best Fight Picks. They can also follow you on Instagram at ShaqBFP. They can follow me at Best Fight Picks Official. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. We truly appreciate all your support. Make sure you'll give this video a like and a subscribe. We truly appreciate it. And also, get 20% off and free shipping using the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. That's BATTLE20 for free shipping and 20% off at manscaped.com. BATTLE20, all caps, manscaped.com. Truly appreciate their support. Thank you guys for sponsoring Half the Battle. We truly, truly appreciate that. Means a lot. So thank you so much to all our fans, to all our supporters, everybody. We'll be back next week. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.